that. Okay. So, hi, I'm Heidi Schmidt with Opticom, and today we are just going to do a kind of quick overview of our commercial line of products. We're just going to touch on them with a couple of key features and things so you know what's available that we provide to you, and just what you can talk to your customers about out there. Last week we did industrial video products, so you can see that on our YouTube channel and go through that as well. But this is going to be the commercial. So we will dive right in. I have a PowerPoint. We're learning Zoom, so learned that I can't have the PowerPoint up the whole time because then you can't see the products when I hold them. So we're going to work through this together. We're getting better as we do more of these. So we'll dive right in here. Let me share my screen. If it lets me. Okay, it should pull up. There we go. Okay, so specializing commercial product line. Okay, so the HD TVI dome cameras, right? So we have got multiple cameras. You can see the pictures there. The top one is going to be our TID-2800PX. It's a basic indoor dome camera. And then the bottom one is going to be our TIV-2101SV. So these are going to be 2 megapixel, 1080p resolution. They're tribrid of these particular ones are hybrid. The MIV is, or the TIV is a tribrid of analog and HD TVI, and then some of our cameras are also HD SDI. And then that outdoor one has a built-in heater as well. So if we look at this, I'll pull it up, right? So I've got the TIV-21, sorry, I've got so many products here, I have to reach a ways. So this is the TIV-2101SV camera right here. So you can see that it's a pretty beefy camera, right? It's got a little weather stripping piece right here. It's waterproof, outdoor rated. This has IR infrared. You can see the LEDs right there. It's a varifocal lens, 2.8 to 12, which is our standard. So most of our cameras will have a 2.8 to 12 millimeter varifocal lens. And then you've also got the little punch out right here. I don't know if you can see that for if you're running conduit straight into it. Camera right here. So you've got power, right? Here's your power, your red strip, DC 12 volt power. Some of them are dual. It just depends on, you can look at the specs for that. Or of course you can give Laura or I or anyone else a call and we can help you out with that too. But there's 2 BNCs, which is important on here, which is what I love on this. Okay, so the first BNC, it's actually more than a tribrid. The yellow one's always going to be your CVBS, right? So this is your analog, your straight analog signal, runs over coax, no big deal. The same thing you've always sold and that everybody's pretty much had. And then right here you have a black one. So this one is the one that does HD TVI, HD SDI. I think we do, let's see, it's got a little tag on here. Yeah, it's CVI or TVI, SDI. It's the HD SDI and the EX SDI. So SDI is broadcast quality. It takes a little bit more oomph for storage and stuff. It's a higher quality. Most people don't need that, but some people do require it. So it's good to know that you've got a dual on the market that you have access to with that. But TVI is what you're typically going to come up with. So the difference just right now, so analog and TVI, your big difference on that is both of them run over coax, right? So that's great, RG59, RG6, both of them are gonna run that way. But the analog signal is the old school analog, and then the TVI signal is actually a digital signal. So it does convert, or not convert, but it does require specific equipment to work with that, but it's a really easy upgrade and transition for people that have analog system in place and don't want to recable, but want to get an HD 1080p high definition resolution. They can just transition to that HD TVI and get that same quality over the existing coax. So I'm not going to go into that too much. You're welcome to call or watch one of our trainings on that, but I just wanted to touch on that real quick. So that's the dome. So the dome does analog, HD TVI, and it does the EX SDI and the HD SDI on them. So that is that. Waterproof IP, I think that one's 66 or 67 rated. Moving right along, I've got a slew of products here. So next we have, well, I don't really need to show you the slide on this. So this is the brand new camera that we brought in, right? We had our TIV-2105 camera, and we just needed something that was kind of super basic for y'all, right? Because you've got some of those jobs, whether it's residential or maybe a gas station or maybe a mini storage, that just needs a pretty basic camera, right? It's going to be a bullet camera fixed lens with infrared. You can see that it's pretty small, right? But it's cool. It's got the, it's cool looking. It's gray. All of our bullet cameras on the analog and the HD TVI on the coax end are gray. So you'll see that as I kind of show them all today. You'll be able to see that. So this one has got a power plug, same as before. It's got, open this thing up. I should open that up before we started. This is really cool, right? So you've got your BNC right here. That's your connection. So that's going to handle your analog, your TDI. This isn't a separate connection for this. It's actually got a little OSD. You really can't see this, all right? So it's a little OSD controller. I'm trying to show you all this. But there's a little tag, right? So you can see that tag, and it tells you how to do it. That's how you're going to rotate. Can you see that? Yeah, that's pretty good. So it's TVI, CVBS, AHD, and CVI on this particular unit, right? So that's a little menu. It's all waterproof, secured. It's got a little cap on it that makes it waterproof. So when you've got it installed, it's not an issue. It's a cable management bracket, guys. Most of our stuff, if not all of it, I think it's going to be a cable management bracket. That means that whenever you used to do cameras and install them, your cable would be like, you wouldn't see that, right? It would be here. So your cable would run from here to the wall, right? So anybody could come up and yank that cable out, whether it pulled out of the camera or pulled out of the wall. Either way, the camera's no longer working. So everything goes through the cable management. So when you mount that on the wall now, that cable's going to go right through the hole in the wall, and nobody's going to see it from the outside, right? So there's not going to be any access to it. So it's really cool. So this is cable management, and it's, you know, you can, it's like a ball and joint type of connection, which all of them are now, where you can move it to any angle and design that you want. So that's the TIB 2103 SV. So this is super economy, low cost camera. The next step up from that is the TIB 2105 SV. So same thing, this is gonna be a, this is a varifocal. I was gonna say a fixed, this is a varifocal. So it's a really low cost varifocal bullet camera. Same thing with that cable management bracket, right? You can go up and down on the bracket, and then you can turn it side to side, but I didn't loosen it for this training. So same thing, this one's got a sun shield though, which is really awesome, and that's adjustable. It moves forward and backwards on the sun shield, and then right here. So this also has, and I'll educate you on that for a hot minute. You can't really see it, but there's actually a rubber ring right there. And it's got the LEDs. So what you want to do with a rubber ring, you always want to look for this whenever you're anybody's cameras, on the infrared, and you can see it. And I'll show you that dome again too, because it is super, oh, cool. So this one has, and you really, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but it's got, you can kind of see around the lens there is like a foam ring. Can you kind of see that foam ring right there? So same thing. So anytime you have infrared, if you have glass right there, the IRs are going to reflect off the glass. So what that does is that ring goes around the lens and bumps up to the glass. So there's no reflection that you're going to get on the lens and on the video itself. So same thing, like if you're doing a gas station and they want to have a camera pointed outside with infrared, I don't know why my arm's over here, y'all can't even see it. But if they're going to point it outside with infrared, you don't want them to have an inside camera with infrared looking out a window, because you're going to get that reflection from the LEDs. So you always want to do that on a bullet camera and on a dome camera, analog, IP, HD, TVI, doesn't really matter. You're always going to want to make sure that, that it has that rubber ring. It's going to help out a lot. Okay, so moving right along. We're going to get to the IP stuff too, guys. This isn't just this, but you know, I would like to say that everybody's all IP, but they're just not yet. So we like to train on both of them because we still move a lot of coax product. So that's the 2105 SV. The next one is the 2801 PX. This is our #1 selling bullet camera in our commercial line on the coax side. So this will do the TDI and the analog BBS, right? So it's a varifocal. Oh, this one has a great look. You can see that rubber ring. This one, the ring is all the way around. You can see the infrared, okay? So this is the varifocal. Sun shield is adjustable. Again, the cable management bracket, 2.8 to 12. It's got more infrared than the last one does. So this one's gonna get you about 150, 180 feet, depending on the lighting outside at night. So this is a really great camera, right? Now, when you do HD TVI, that's gonna be that 1080p 2 megapixel resolution. So that is HD football quality imagery, right? So don't forget that. You don't have to go, if you've got a customer that is, already has a coax system, it's a really great way to go in and upgrade them without them having to recable, because that's just not always an option. So don't forget that. Now we've got the TIB 2805 PX. This is almost the same size, a little bit bigger. It's definitely heavier whenever you feel the weight. Again, the cable management, and it goes side to side, it goes up and down on the bracket, right? All of that. You can adjust the lens. This one's got a little, I gotta run it too. I think it's gonna be on here too tight for me to, oh my goodness. Okay, that was really, really snug. All right, which is good because it's water resistant, right? It's waterproof. So you've got some functions in here to use your varifocal lens, and that 2801 had the same functions on there. So that's really cool. So you can zoom in, out, and then there's also, it comes with a little video tester you plug in right there. So if you've got your camera, and I'm not gonna mess with that right now. So if you've got this in your cable management and your cables are all the way through the wall, but you need to test your camera, right? What are you going to do? Right? Because you can't hook a test monitor to this if this is mounted to the wall and you can't see your cables anymore. So it comes with a little cable that goes into that little white plug, that little white thing where it says test video, and it's just a little adapter. It's got a little BNC right there, so you can hook it up to a test monitor, right? So a lot of our products you'll find as you go through have those kinds of little features that maybe a sales rep isn't really going to find useful or find as an important feature, but someone installing those cameras is going to love that. Hey, your cameras can be installed there, and if your customer calls you back in a month and they say, you know what, we really need to adjust that varifocal, you can go right up there with your test monitor and adjust it. You don't have to unmount the camera to do that, right? Because you can plug right into the camera. So those are the little additional features you'll find throughout all of our products. Just those little extra things that give it a little something extra that you don't usually find on the market. So we're really proud of those kind of things, just the extra detail work that we do. So that's the 2805PX, and that one's going to get you about 250 feet at night. I don't know if you got to see that. I don't know if I showed you. And you can see these are much larger IRs on here, and it has that rubber ring again. So let me pull up my little PowerPoint. I think I've just, skipped all over everything. So we'll see where we're at with that. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so domes, we went over the bullet cameras. These can be special ordered in white, but we actually stock them. We keep them separated in the gray, whereas we keep our, like I said, our IP stuff will all be white. So HD TVI PTZ cameras. I didn't pull one, you know what, because quite frankly, they roll off the table and I don't really want to break them because they're a little more than a bullet camera. So, but you can see right here what they look like. These don't have the outer domes anymore, right? They're transitioning and changing the way that factories are making these now, just with new technology. So you don't need that ring, right? Because that reflection, it's great. It avoids that altogether. So they're super versatile. They're still IP67 and IP68 rated, right? They come with a wall mount and a ceiling mount option, built-in heaters. We have heater options on all of our cameras. Not the little tiny bullet, economy bullet I told you about, but all of our other cameras, we have heater options on. So if that's something that you need for your area or for an installation or job that you're working for, then just let us know those kinds of details. So IP rated, and again, this is going to be that 1080p resolution. We've got them hybrid analog and TVI, and then we've also got some that are hybrid IP and TVI and analog. So that would be a tribrid actually. So we've got all kinds of, again, just talk to us, and a lot of what we like to do at Opticom is have you call us and say, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. And then we can just say, oh, well, here's the product versus you saying, hey, I think I need this product because that's what I need. Well, this is what we're here to do, guys, is to help you figure out what you need. So, so moving right along. Okay. Oh, and we've got this last little one. We don't move a lot of these little guys right here. It's kind of an outdated technology, but every now and then you need them. So we've got the box camera, right? So okay. Box camera, forgot it's not on the slide, but so this is standard box camera, right? This is what it looks like, guys. Oh, let's get the cover off, right? So that's it. So there's your CMOS sensor right there. You can really see it. So that's what a sensor looks like inside of a camera. So box camera, you always order the lens. It's always going to be a separate order item, right? This is a 2.8 to 12 that we have in stock right now. That I had just literally, I was just scraping stuff off the shelves to do this. So this is what I grabbed. 2.8 to 12. It's got this little cable, right? That's going to plug in right over here. There's a little side port. Again, if you're not familiar with this, hopefully this is really helpful for you. Plugs in. That powers the lens for the auto iris, right? So there's either a manual iris or an auto iris. I don't know if anybody's even selling manual irises anymore, but they were, a long time ago when I started in this industry. So this is what opens and closes, just like your eye works, right? Just to lighting, right? So this is going to power this to do that. But box camera, right? So you've got your different, this is a dual power one, and it's HD and analog. So you can see that you've got the HD plug and the analog plug. I might have this backwards right now. And then you've got your screw terminal here for your power. It's dual voltage. And then you've got the controls for the OSD, which is an RS485. And then you've got a little controller right here for the OSD if you control it right at the unit itself. So that's the TIX204 camera that we have. Let me move this stuff so I don't lose it. Okay. Okay, I think that's our analog and our HD TVI stuff. So we'll move on to the IP stuff, which is going to be kind of similar. Oh, look at that. We'll just hop, skip, and jump right here. Okay, so IP networking dome cameras, super similar, right? So IP rated weatherproof cameras. These are going to be, again, that high IP rated. They're meant for outdoors. I love to put these under an eave right? Anywhere you're doing commercial stuff, under eaves, outside, right? Because then you've got, if you've got a big old, I'm gonna grab this, this one's kind of heavy. Okay, so if you've got this hanging, can you see it? Hanging under an eave, if somebody comes, they can't grab it. Whereas if you've got maybe this on a low hanging eave, oh yeah, it's still got the thing hanging. I haven't put it back on. This, somebody could really come up there and just grab this and yank it down, right? If it's not high enough. Obviously, if you've got a 16-foot eave, nobody's jumping up there to get it. Well, maybe, but this one is a little bit harder. They're vandal, right? So they can take that hit from a bat or something like that. I mean, these are heavy duty. So so this one right here is the MIB 4141 SV. So again, watch, I'll stop share. Okay, so again, you've got that rubber ring, right? You can maybe see it a little better from this angle. The LEDs are here, and that, just so you know, when you unscrew this unit, the camera inside is adjustable. So this can be wall mounted or ceiling mounted, which is really important because we always have intentions that, oh, we're going to hang it from the ceiling, and then sometimes you get there and you're doing the install and you're like, it's just not going to work that way. So they're really versatile in that sense. A 2.8 to 12 millimeter varifocal lens. I've also got the MIB. Okay, so the 4131. I think, yeah, this is the 4131. Okay, so you can see this is much smaller, right? I'm going to side by side these for you. Look at that size difference, okay? So that's a huge, huge difference. So this is a pretty standard camera, okay? It's got the one LED on the top, right? The rubber ring, this is a different rubber ring, but again, you can see that rubber ring that's in there, right? For the glare. And then it's a fixed lens. So this is gonna be a lower cost option than a varifocal lens with all the LEDs, right? But sometimes, you know what guys, this is all they need. And this is vandal proof as well. So something that's really cool, and I don't wanna unscrew these, but you can see the plates, it's easier to show you. But you can see where the plates are actually have this line here. So what we do with that is you take this base plate off, okay? And that's what you mount to the ceiling because you've got your cable through here. So same way we talked about the bullet with a cable management bracket, same thing. This is gonna go right through the wall or the ceiling, right? So where nobody's gonna have any access to the cables. You mount the plate, and then this top half is gonna screw right onto that mounting. So then you can keep extra connect. Look, I've got my fingers in here. There's like space, right? And here between the camera and this plate. So you can shove the cables in there or whatever you need to do. If you end up using like video balance or, well, this is an IP camera, you're not gonna use video balance, but if you need stuff, you can actually shove it in there and hide some of that cable as well. And then this separate part comes off right here. You can see another little line. Same thing, and that's how you actually get into the cable, into the camera, and you can adjust it for the wall mount, for the ceiling mount, or if you need that, you've already installed it and you need to turn it because you have it facing the wrong way. I mean, it happens, right? So, so again, it just makes it a little bit easier than typical. Okay, let's see. I'll go through the cables with the cameras. Bear with me. All right, so that's the domes. So that's gonna be a 4 megapixel. It's gonna be an 8 megapixel. For those of you who don't know, an 8 megapixel is the equivalent of 4K, right? So some people, oh, well, you know, we did 4K. Okay, well, it's the same thing, right? So now I want to be very clear on this if you're not familiar, and I'm not gonna get into detail on any of this stuff. But remember, the higher the resolution, the more bandwidth this is gonna eat. So if you have your commercial customer that's running a gas station or a mini storage, or, you know, maybe it's a big office building, whatever it may be, who cares, right? And they're like, yeah, we want 4K all the way. We want this, we want that. We want PTZs and blah. Okay, number one, budget-wise, that's, you know, it costs more. And number two, that's a lot to stream on a 4K resolution, okay? So, so you need to keep that in mind when you're building systems, or if you're the customer that's considering a system, you need to keep that in mind. Okay, am I gonna have an infrastructure for this kind of bandwidth? Am I okay with the lag time that could potentially happen with this kind of bandwidth? Because my internet may not be able to support it, right? Even if you do a 4-camera system, it sucks a lot in when you get into those higher systems. Now, that being said, the next spec that I have on here is that it's H.265 compression, okay? So I'm gonna try to explain this without confusing you. So you have H.264 compression, H.265 compression. An H.264 4 megapixel camera is gonna send 4 megapixels down that, and it's gonna need some bandwidth, right? Because the higher the resolution, the more bandwidth that it needs, right? So it sends it down the stream. If you have an H.265 camera, that's gonna compress it twice as much as an H.264 camera, and it's gonna send that down the stream, it's gonna be like sending only a 2 megapixel picture, right? So if you've got an H.264 4 megapixel and an H.265 4 megapixel, the H.265 compresses it twice as much. So it's the equivalent of only sending 2 megs down. So that's really important. And all of our commercial IP networking products are H.265. So that's really important, right? So when you talk about 4K and 8 megapixels and how much bandwidth, when you're using our 4K cameras, it's going to compress that to where it's the equivalent of only sending 4 megapixels down. Now, you have to play with settings and do all that stuff. So there's definitely variables with your frame rate and all of that. But just talking about generalized, right? H.265 compresses at 2 times as much as H.264. It's just the next step up. Like when we went from MPEG and then we went to MJPEG. I think before that it was like SIF, you know, like way back in the day, right? MJPEG, and then all of a sudden it was H.264, and now it's H.265. So just, again, just so that you know what that looks like. Okay. All right, and we're sharing. Okay. Multiple connections. So built-in heaters. Okay, right. So we've got built-in heater options. Again, pretty much all of them are IP cameras except for the fixed lenses. All of our varifocals and up are built-in heaters. Again, confirm on a spec sheet, call us, ask us. But so we've got those heater options. And then you've also got micro SD memory slots, right? So if you want to pop one of those little SD cards in there, we've got slots on a lot of our cameras as well. It's a shorter span of recording when you do something like that, but you know what, maybe it's necessary for some applications. And then we go into the bullets, and when we get to the bullets, I'll go through the connections on here. So bullets, the specs on this side of the PowerPoint are going to be the same. They're really similar. So if we offer it, just so you know, if we offer it in a dome, we probably have the equivalent in a bullet. And same thing with our HD and coax line. If we have it in a bullet, we probably have it in a dome. If we have it in a dome, you know, so until you get to the really big lenses. So if you do like a 6-50, like that TIB 2805 I had shown y'all, right? In the analog CVBS HD TVI section, right? That's a 6-50 millimeter lens. That's a big old lens in here. Then you get into specialized. I don't have Vandal dome with that because that, I mean, that's a lens to stick in there. So, but all of our bullets would go up. We have a 5-50 bullet as well. And you know what? I didn't pull that one, so I'm not going to be able to show it to you, but it's on a spec sheet somewhere. But we'll go through this. So we'll start. That's the 81. Okay. So again, this looks really similar to that, this one, right? The 2103. It's definitely different in size, right? You can see the size difference. And you can see the white, right? I told you all of our IP stuff is in white. So same idea, same body style. Okay, so you've still got that ring, right? You see that ring in there, and then we've got that one LED right there too. So this is a fixed lens IP bullet camera, right? Super simple. You've got an audio, right? So one thing that's really cool is we've got audio, and this is the MIB 4131SV. This is brand new. We literally just got them on our shelf last week. So, so we're really excited. It's replacing the old MIB 4131s. And then we've got that audio connection on here, and then we've got the 12 volt, right? DC 12 volt. Wait, that's so close, it's blurry. Whatever, you know what a 12 volt plug looks like. I hope so. And then you've got this plug right here. So this is your actual networking, and this is PoE as well. I'm saying DC 12 volt, but it's PoE. So you can power it locally, or you can just power it over your PoE, right? So you've got this little waterproof connection, unscrews. Here's the cap to it. All right, but so when you make your cable, right? So then you've got this that goes on there too. So the cool thing is that when you make your cable, right, you would make your cable right when you're installing. And I should have brought cable up here. Okay, so you make your cable and you put it right through a little hole right there, right? And it's going to be pretty snug on that, right? Because we're looking for a pretty watertight connection, right? So then the cable comes out here, and then you put your cable end on it. You plug that into your standard RJ45 Ethernet camera connection, right? And then you've got it plugged in here, and you pop that right back on, and look at that. And there's a ring right around here as well. There you go. You can kind of see it. There's a little ring right there as well. So it's a watertight connection, right? So this is really cool. And this is standard on all of our commercial cameras, just so you know. Well, then now I'm going to look at all of them to make sure I'm not lying to you. Let me see my, okay, yeah. So it's standard on all of our IP commercial cameras, is that waterproof connection. So there are some of the connections on there. Let's see. So again, that H.265 compression that we talked about, we're going to be available in a 4 megapixel and an 8 megapixel, the heaters, multiple connections, and then that SD memory slot is going to be available on the bullet cameras as well. So that was the brand new MIB 4131 SVs. Then we've got, and that's so the same thing, the 8 megapixel, just so y'all know, we keep our part numbers like super simple. If it's an MIB 4131 SV, the 4 stands for a 4 megapixel, okay? If it's the MIB 8131 SB, the 8 stands for an 8 megapixel, okay? So the 3 stands for a fixed lens, 3.6, right? Like we keep them to where we can internally, but once you get familiar with our product line, you'll be able to read a part number and you'll know M is megapixel, MIB, megapixel, bullet. I don't know what the I is there for, but megapixel bullet. So you know it's an IP camera. TIB, TBI bullet. So like the TIB cameras are all TBI cameras, right? So we keep everything, or we try to, as simple as possible. Okay, sorry, got sidetracked. All right, so here is the MIB 4131. So this is a chunk, right? Oh, it's bigger. Let's see, right? So you can kind of see. I guess that's not really great side by side, is it? Right here, the size difference on that. So these are these cameras. So this is our #1 bullet selling bullet camera in the IP networking world. So it's a varifocal lens. Adjustable sun shield on top right here. You can slide that back and forth. Again, that cable management bracket comes right out. Look at all these connectors. Holy smokes. We'll go through that in a minute. Varifocal, again, you can see that rubber ring right there with the LEDs. So infrared, varifocal, these things are awesome. I love, you know what, guys? I'm just going to say our IP networking camera like lineup is just, it's awesome. Like, it's like you got to try it. Like, they're just so great, right? So you can unscrew this, and it's going to be tight for me right here. So I'm not going to be able to do it because the sun shield's in my way. So right here, you can see where you actually unscrew the black part from the white part. And there's little pictures. I mean, we make it super simple, or we try to. And then in there, you've got the little where you can adjust the varifocal. So that's super simple. The bracket goes up and down, side to side. And so then, now we've also got, this is the MIB, again, megapixel I bullet, right? MIB 4141. So 4 is 4 megapixel. The second 4, well, anytime it's a second 4, it means it's a varifocal. If it's a 5, like the 4151, that's going to be a motorized zoom lens. So we have that available. So this is available on the motorized zoom lens as well. So the MIB 4141 S8, best-selling camera that we have in the IP networking camera world. Okay, so here is the gazillion cables, and we have a whole training on our YouTube channel about all of these cables. So, but just to run through it real quick, I'll have to remember all of it, right? So this is your power plug right here. This is that, again, that watertight RJ45 Ethernet connection. It is PoE. We just have where you can power it locally as well. This is your microphone. No, wait. This is your microphone. This is your audio. This is alarm, right? This thing's got an alarm output. The camera does, guys. I'm not talking about having to go through an NVR or DVR. The camera has alarms on it, right? This thing's so awesome, right? Okay, so that's your alarm. Then you've got your RS485, right, for your controls, right, for the OSD. If it's the motorized, it would be for that. And then you've got, look how brilliant this is. And then you've also got tacked on to your IP networking camera is a BNC connection. So all of our varifocal IP networking cameras, our domes, the varifocal, the motorized zoom lens, also has a BNC connection, right? So what that means is that, number one, if you've got somebody putting an IP camera in and they're running it to the network, but they also want to run a camera just straight to a monitor. So say it's like somebody that's got like a guard check and the guard just needs to see that camera. They don't need to see the whole thing, but they just need to see who's at the door, or, you know, at a school, secretary, right? They want all the cameras on the network, but the secretary needs to see who's coming in and out of the school. I did this actually at my kids' school, right? So they had one monitor in the secretary's office so she could buzz them in. Right? This is great because you can take that BNC and run it straight there, but then you just take everything else like you normally would and run it there. So it's got that. It's great for a spot monitor out, to use for a spot monitor output. So if you've got an older test monitor, then you can do that. With our IP cameras, you don't have to have the really expensive, because they are expensive. The IP test monitors are quite a bit more than an analog or a TVI, just a CVBS test monitor, right? So lots of options because it has that BNC. And that's, again, just those extra little things that we try to add to our products that make your life just a little bit easier. Stuff like that, right? Make your install a little bit nicer. You're not splitting signals, right? Because one of the biggest or the hardest and most difficult things, which we've got a solution, I'll come to that in a minute, is when you have an IP networking system and you need to have one camera show up on a monitor, right? Like when you're trying to do that is you're trying to get one camera to go right over to the monitor. So this makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so let me share the screen here. Again, IP networking PTZ cameras, same thing we kind of talked about. I don't have them right here on the thing with me. They're available on a 2 megapixel and a 3 megapixel right now, IP, and then we have the IP TBI hybrids, built-in heaters, wall mount, ceiling mount options as well. And again, with that H.265 compression that we talked about. digital video recorders, network video recorders, IP networking, HDTVI, and analog, right? So we have got DVRs and NVRs, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 channels available. If you need larger than that, you can stack the units. We also have video management software when you get into enterprise size video solutions. And then we've got our DVRs are TVI analog hybrid. And then our NVRs are IP networking, some with PoE. When you get into our 32 and 64 channels, they are not PoE because most people building out a system that size have switches everywhere. It doesn't make sense. And all of our tech support is, I have US based, but it's actually North American based. So we've got some tech support in Vancouver as well. So that kind of gives you a lay of the land. So if you do need help with something, we've got everybody right here locally with us. So the DVR units, what I like about them being an analog and a TVI unit is if you've got someone who wants to convert from analog over to the HD TVI, they can do that, right? So you can put one of those units in and they can just replace the TVI cameras as needed. They don't have to go out and buy everything all at once. So that's really, really helpful. Otherwise, you know, DVRs, our software is super user-friendly. Instead of the, like, what is it? The old, like, DOS system looking, you know, DVRs, they were like that for years and years. Ours is interfaced like a Windows 10, right? So it's super simple. There's picture icons that are not from 1992. You know, like, so it's really up to date. It's really nice. It's really user-friendly. And again, we have tech support, so you can call our techs or have your customers call techs if, you know, they need help setting up. That way you're not in and out of there trying to constantly set them up and do it for them, right? Because I know some customers like to lean heavy on that. So those are our DVRs and our NVRs. And then we've got, let's see. Okay, so monitors. Oh, well, let me pull that right back up actually. Okay, so full line monitors, 10.1 inches all the way up to 65 inches. We've got 2 economy monitors that are just low cost, your run of the mill, like your commercial, like that's what you're gonna sell a lot of in the gas stations and mini storages and things like that, 19.5 and 21.5 inch monitors. And those are just low cost. Industrial and commercial applications for monitors, and then they support up to a 4K resolution depending on the size, right? Don't, you know, your 10.1 inch monitor isn't gonna support a 1080p. No way, no how. The technology is just not on the market yet. So you need to have a 19.5 or higher to support 1080p. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing anything resolution wise, because I have a lot of people that want, you know, and you want to make sure you have a 4K monitor. If you're going to spend all that money, or your customer's going to spend all that money on 4K cameras, you need to make sure that you have a monitor that's going to support that as well. So the real kicker on this is the IP monitors. So one of the great things about the IP monitors is that they connect to the network like a camera. So when you get into commercial applications, maybe you won't need them as much, but it's really good to know that it's available. So you would have an IP monitor connect to the network just like a camera, and then you would set it up and put the IP addresses of the cameras you want on a networking camera onto that monitor. And then from there, you pull the monitor up and you can watch those 4 cameras or those 8 cameras or those 16 cameras or 32 or however many you've actually programmed onto the monitor. And then you don't need an additional computer. Because sometimes you have to get a pretty beefy computer and it can get kind of costly. Or sometimes you don't really have the space for a computer. You're not looking to add another computer, or the computer that you already have is like a pretty basic admin computer that's not going to run this kind of stuff. So it's just an option out there. If you have questions about that, call me up. We can chat. Call the office, chat with somebody, right? Somebody can help you with that. So just, it's good to know that that's an actual option out there. Let's see. Okay. And then we go into wireless, right? So our standard wireless is going to be a 1 mile transmission distance on our IP. It's 4,000 feet analog and TVI. It's all outdoor rated, easy to install and easy to design. So super simple. We try to keep most of our products, as I said, as easy as possible for you. We do have tech support to help you whenever the time is needed. For our wireless, those are our standard systems. If you're going to go and you're going to be working with a city or a traffic company or just somewhere like that, and you're going to get into mesh networks and more complicated systems, then you want to call us. And we can hit, and don't call me, like, I mean, call me, but I'll put you with my tech that can actually build it out for you and help you, right? Because those are really, really detailed, and there's repeaters and all kinds of things involved when you get into those larger systems. But we can do that as well. So wireless is an option, and then I think that is, accessories. It's not it yet, guys. There's more to go now. So then you've got the accessories. So video distribution, you've got lock boxes, which are super simple. Video distribution, Distributed and individual power supplies, bases, standard monitor mounts, monitor stands, and then all of the video and power connections that you could need. So I didn't pull all of that out here to show you because you know what, there's an abundance of accessories that we offer, but pretty much anything you could need, we have. Next Thursday, it's going to be called Unique Products. Well, this Thursday, Unique Products. We're going to do a training just like this, a live training on just items that maybe you didn't even realize were a thing. Not that, oh, I didn't know Opticom carried that, but just like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, like a solution. So it's just going to be some kind of unique off-the-wall products that can definitely help customers. And a lot of people just don't know that it's an option. So you might want to tune into that on Thursday. Video and power connectors, right? VNC, T connectors, all of the things that you could possibly need to do a system from start to finish. And then as always, right, we support you with in-depth sales support. We like to help you build out systems. We like to educate you when you're on the phone. Call us if you want, you know, hey, I don't understand how to do this, or, oh, hey, I got this quote, but why would you go with this whenever I was thinking this? Have that conversation with us. Let us talk to you. Let us educate you. You know, we can deal directly with your customer, right? So, and just have that conversation. Sometimes when there is the middleman, stuff gets lost in translation, right? So put us on a conference call or have us call, and we can talk to your guys directly. And, you know, we know the lingo, and we've done it enough to where we understand, like, oh, okay, you're in this kind of application. That's what you're trying to do. Yep, we know how to do that. So we're definitely here and available for that for you. And then we back everything we sell with unqualified support. We like to think so. So if the end user, your customer, is not satisfied, then we're not satisfied. So definitely, you know, contact us and utilize all of our skills and abilities. Additional training, like I said, the YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that. We've got tons of training everywhere. Follow us on YouTube, you know, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that, so that you get all of the information with that. I can, Joseph, send you, I just saw your message come through, a slide deck and contact information. Yeah, I can absolutely do that. I'm going to assume that, hey, Scott, good morning. I just saw yours as well. I'm going to assume that you registered, and we should have your information. And Laura, who is on here, has all of that information as well. So then that's it, guys. So that's the training. And again, just an overview. Oh, that's not it. I lied. Look at this. Scott Egan has one of these. So this is our test monitor. It's a 3.5-inch test monitor. This guy's for you if you're going, and I know this is commercial products, and you can use this commercially for your installers. So if you do anything industrial, every industrial site should have one of these. And if you have installers, every installer should have one of these. The gas station and the mini mart don't really need one. But this is a test monitor. It does IP, it does analog, it does TVI, it does AHD, CBI, it does all the things, right? So it does everything. It's got everything here. You can program your IP cameras from it. It's everything. It's a cable tester. I mean, it powers the camera while you're testing it. So it does a lot of things. So that is something that I always say is something that's easy for you to go into any facility or have any conversation with any installer, because they need one on site. That is an easy thing for you to talk to somebody about, or just say, hey, bring in a spec sheet. Hey, do you have one of these? Because I really think you need one. So I just didn't want to leave that out. That's why I have it out here. So that is now officially it. So I hope that everybody has a really great day. I hope you learned a few things. If you have any questions, call us, contact us. We're more than happy to help. Our website's opticomtech.com. And our number is 800-578-1853. Have yourself a fantastic day. And I hope to hear from all of you soon. Thank you.